If I asked you whether your relationship was your top priority, what would you say? If you said yes, would you mean it? Today, we're going to talk all about how to put your relationship back on the front burner. I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step-family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Before we dive in today, I want to make sure you know that you can go to our podcast page and get all the show notes for today's episode. Just go to customlife.com/episode 6. I've also got a blog post on this topic that covers a few different angles than what we're talking about today. So the link to that is also going to be in the show notes. So again, it's thiscustomlife.com/episode 6. When was the last time you and your spouse had some alone time? Or were able to get more than a few minutes together alone, either during the day or in the evening? And I'm not talking about the time that you're asleep in the same room or the same bed. It's easy to let your relationship slide a little bit in the business of everyday life, especially during these times when many of us are spending most of our time at home. When you're at home together, especially if you're both working from home like a lot of us are, that is a lot of together time, right? I feel pretty lucky that my husband Craig and I get along well, and we've actually enjoyed being home together. For the most part, let me just say, no couple is perfect, and there have definitely been times when we have totally gotten on each other's nerves, which usually results in us getting in a fight over something super stupid, which almost always ends up with one of us cracking an also stupid joke to break the tension, and then we just laugh our way out of it. But really, it can be easy to just kind of let things go. I don't know about you, but I feel like I have let myself go a little bit this year. I mean, this working from home business, I pretty much never wear makeup anymore, and I'm pretty sure the last time I wore anything with a zipper or a button was last March. And there are definitely days when I don't have to be on Zoom for a meeting that I just may decide to work in my pajamas all day. I may or may not be recording this in my pajamas, but we're friends, right? I can tell you that. Is that okay? I'm pretty sure that I have given up because I will tell you, since we're friends, I just ordered a fleece dress for around the house. Yeah, I think I've given up, right? But, then I'll catch myself. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I don't mean that you should dress up every day, because Lord knows I don't. But, maybe shave your legs once in a while or wash your hair, right? But letting things go is actually a lot more than our appearance, even though I like to joke about it. It's putting off alone time with our partners, taking each other for granted. And, the more that happens, when one or both of you stop making an effort, then you both are likely to stop trying, and that's when things can really start to deteriorate. Think about it. If you feel like your partner would rather be out on the golf course than with you, that can affect your self-esteem, right? And if they think that you'd rather be at work, that can affect them too. They'll start to resent how much time you spend at work. And then it's like a vicious cycle. Things just get frostier and frostier. And add in the dynamic of being in a blended family, and it can be even harder. It may be that you didn't have time to really adjust to being a married couple like traditional marriages. You're growing into the marriage and the family at the same time that you're having to do all this parenting. I know for us, Craig and I got home from the honeymoon and literally got the kids the next day for 2 weeks. Talk about getting thrown into the deep end, right? But I don't think that's an unusual experience. But I'm going to say something here that you may or may not want to hear. I'm going to give you a little bit of Cammie G's tough love. My stepkids call me Cammie G. I'm not just referring to myself in the third person. Anyway, here's the tough love. Your relationship with your partner needs to be a priority over all of your other relationships. And yes, I am including the kids. Because here's the thing, even though the kids take up a huge amount of your time and probably just as huge a part of your heart, if you don't have a solid marriage or relationship, there is no family. You have the relationship with the kids because you fell in love with your spouse. That relationship has got to come first. And I know that you know as well as I do that being in a blended family is no walk in the park. In fact, did you know that almost 70% of second marriages fail? First marriages have a failure rate of 50%. That's a lot more than first marriages. And I'm not saying that those 70% fail because they didn't make their relationship a priority. But with those kind of odds, you really need to do everything you can to be successful. And that includes making each other a priority. So, how can you do that? Well, for starters, you're both probably going to have to shift your mindset and take some different actions. When you're a couple, you're supposed to be a team, right? If you're not working well together, or if it feels like you're not working towards the same goals, or if it feels like you're not connecting the same way you used to, you need to take a beat. These are not things that happen on their own. You have to work at it. So, let's go through 6 ways that you can make your relationship more of a priority. Number 1, spend quality time together. And I'm talking about intentional quality time. And if you need to schedule it, that's fine. If you share custody, then focus on having a little bit of time each day, just the two of you. And on your off weeks when the kids are at the other house, try to set aside good chunks of time that you can really enjoy each other. If you have full custody and don't have much alone time opportunity, find some time like once a month or once a week or on some sort of regular basis that you can get some childcare and have an evening just the two of you. If money's an issue, that's okay. You don't have to hire a babysitter. You could just find a night where you could have some time after the kids go to bed. Grab a glass of wine or a beer or whatever and pretend you're at a fancy restaurant and have a nice meal at home. Make sure that you don't talk about the kids, don't talk about the ex, and just be together for a couple of hours, just the two of you. Regardless of how much time you have the kids, the key is to really be intentional about spending time together. Share a hobby. Is there something you guys like doing together? It could be finding a new place to hike or gardening, which would probably be the very last thing on Craigslist for us to spend time together doing. And I don't know, maybe next to last on my list, but whatever it is there something you guys both enjoy? Or, can you find something new to enjoy? Maybe it's doing like a little book club between the two of you and talking about the books. Maybe it's finding a common television show that you both really enjoy, although I will say I don't think that sitting and watching TV is necessarily quality time. It's really the time you spend after the show talking. But whatever it is that you decide you want to do together, just find ways to enjoy each other, without any other distractions, and really log some good time together. Number 2, assume good intent. This is a big one. Always work under the assumption that you love each other, right? You want nothing but the best for each other. Everybody sticks their foot in their mouth at some point or another. If you or your spouse says something hurtful or offensive to the other, as long as you can remember, that as long as you have that underlying knowledge that your partner wants the best for you, it'll be much easier to not assume that they were being hurtful on purpose. This is hard sometimes, right? I mean, I know early on, Craig and I talked about that our mindset was always going to be that no matter what, we were always on the same team, that we would make decisions together and we would always be united. And viewing ourselves as being on the same team has been helpful when we've had disagreements. A lot of times, if we're fighting or, disagreeing on something, at one point or another, we'll say to each other, hey, we're on the same team, remember? And it kind of is like a trigger when one of us says that. It sort of brings us back to earth and reminds us that we want the best for each other. We're on the same side. We always have each other's back, no matter what. But this one can be a little hard sometimes. I mean, if somebody says something really knee-jerk and kind of reacts badly to something, the first thing out of your mouth might be, why would you say that? You know it's going to hurt me. But kind of take a step back and remember, they're not trying to hurt you. They want the best for you, and you want the best for them. And if you can always remember that, it'll make those conversations so much easier. Number 3 is to understand each other's love language and try to speak it. Are you familiar with the 5 love languages? If you're not, then I'm going to tell you to head over to Amazon and order a copy right now. I'm going to put a link in the show notes for today's episode, and I cannot encourage you enough to get this book. It's the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and again, I'll put a link in the show notes so that you have it. The premise is that everyone speaks one of 5 love languages, which means that everyone shows and receives love in one of 5 different ways. So the 5 different ways are acts of service, physical affection, receiving gifts, quality time, and words of affirmation. So the idea is that once you understand how your partner experiences love, and once they understand how you feel love, then you'll be able to communicate more effectively in ways that you each fully understand and fully feel. So for example, if you are a receiving gifts person, then, when your spouse comes home and they've stopped at the grocery store and picked up flowers and brought them home to you, it makes your heart all warm and tingly inside, and you just know that they love you. But if your spouse is an acts of service person, then when they come home, if you've done the dishes, they will feel all warm and tingly inside, and they will know that you love them. Now, if you don't know this about each other, you can go on for a really long time and not feel loved, right? If your spouse doesn't know that you love to get gifts, but they know that they love the acts of service, then maybe they're doing the dishes all the time because they're showing you in their own way that they love you, but you're not feeling it because they're not giving you anything, and vice versa. If you're bringing home little gifts and stuff for them because that's how you experience love, that doesn't mean anything to them. But, what they'd really like is for you to do the dishes once in a while. And so, when they get home from work, if you've done the dishes, that could make their head explode. They'll be so excited. So it's a really amazing book. I'm not going to do it justice here, talking about it. We don't have enough time to really get into it. I wish we did. But I really encourage you to take a look at the premise of this and, really try to understand. There's a test in the book that you can each take so you can find out what your love language is. I really encourage you to do it and try to speak your partner's love language and encourage them to speak yours. And by the way, Gary Chapman has also got books on how the 5 love languages can be applied to children and teens, and he just came out with one on step families. So you should definitely take a look at it. I can't recommend it highly enough. So number 4, flirt. I know, this is a fun one, right? So I'm guessing when you first met each other, there was some flirting, but once you settle into life together, it's easy to let the routines take over and kind of lose that playfulness. And honestly, in the middle of a global pandemic where everybody's at home all the time, it's really easy to kind of let that go. And I mean, I've already talked about the fact that I'm in my pajamas half the time. So flirting can go by the wayside, and you really have to be intentional and kind of make an effort to pick it back up. You know what I'm saying? So, give your spouse a little sassy comeback once in a while, maybe an inappropriate wink. I will try. I'm going to give you all my secrets here. If I walk past Craig in the kitchen, I'll pat his behind once in a while, just to kind of let him know that I'm still interested in him in that way, if you know what I mean. And it doesn't have to be all like sexy time flirting either. Just be affectionate. And I'm going to tell you one other thing. Do it in front of the kids. Affection. Come on now, get your mind out of the gutter, right? No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, hold hands in front of the kids, let them see you walk by your spouse and rub their shoulders. I mean, it is really good for kids to see a happy and healthy relationship modeled for them. In blended families, unfortunately, kids, have the example of a broken relationship. And so, as you and your spouse are building your family and becoming a unit, it's really, really good for them to see what happy relationships look like. And it's good for you to be in a happy relationship, and flirting can make you happy. So I really encourage you to think about what it was like when you were first dating and, suggestive comment here or there or a little wink or whatever it is, try and flirt once in a while. It'll help you kind of get your groove back, if you know what I mean. So, number 5, communicate. Okay, this is like the big one, right? You need to tell your partner what your needs are. You need to be open and honest. And obviously, I mean in ways that don't hurt feelings, right? But you need to really check in with each other regularly. And this can be done any number of ways. I mean, you could have like a weekly meeting. And I actually love the idea of having a weekly meeting on Sundays where you go through the logistics of the upcoming week, but then also kind of check in with each other on how you're feeling and, if there's anything on your mind. And it doesn't have to always be super serious. It could just be, something really simple, but just kind of a gut check on how you're each doing. You know what I mean? Find ways to be more open with each other. Good communication really is the key to good relationships. And if you can be open with each other on how you're feeling in ways that are truly constructive, then, the arguments are going to be a lot less painful. They're going to be more like discussions. It's just going to overall help you center yourself, help you center your relationship. It really is the key to every single facet of your marriage, of your relationship. And again, we talked earlier about the whole assuming positive intent. That should underlie all of your communications. As you're checking in with each other, there may be something uncomfortable that you have to talk about. There may be something that you're doing that's like really getting on your partner's nerves. Hopefully they will assume that you have a positive intent behind your actions and keep that in mind as they discuss that with you, and vice versa. So it's really intertwined, but communication is, I think, one of the very most important things in every successful relationship and certainly in, making your relationship a priority. And number 6, agree to cherish each other. Okay, I know I said cherish each other. It sounds a little cheesy, sorry, but stick with me here. I saw a great analogy online a couple of weeks ago that was talking about treating your spouse as well as you do your dog, right? I mean, it sounds a little nutty, but it kind of makes sense. So be happy to see them, right? Your dog is always happy to see you, and you are always happy to see your dog. Bring them treats. Do nice things for them. Show them physical affection. Don't hold grudges, right? I mean, when was the last time you held a grudge against your dog? Now, granted, your partner's not going to be pooping on the living room rug, hopefully. And if they are, that's a totally different conversation that I'm sorry, I don't think that I'm qualified to help you with. But really, in terms of cherishing each other, let's just talk about this. Say I love you every day. That is such an easy one. You're together because your relationship is based on love. So say it, whether it's before you go to bed every night or when you get up in the morning or just, looking at them across the dining room table and saying, I love you. Just say it every day. Let me remind you, you are not roommates. You are life partners. You are lovers. You are parents. And you have a passion for each other, even if you haven't accessed that in a while. Saying I love you is really just a small daily reminder to each other that while you're teammates, you are also so much more. You're each other's person. Or as Phoebe on Friends said, you're my lobster. And you're in it together unconditionally, even when you're not feeling it. And there are definitely times when you are not feeling it, right? But you need to both find ways to show that you value each other. So say that you love each other every day. And I'm going to give you another one. Say something nice to each other every day. It's not necessarily just about, going about the business of day-to-day life. Say something nice, compliment each other, even if you're frustrated. It could just be, hey, I'm glad we're together. Or, maybe they dress up for a Zoom call and you say, you look nice today. Whatever it is, say something nice to each other every day. Okay, so let's recap what we've talked about. The 6 ways to help you make your relationship a priority. Number 1, spend quality time together, intentionally. Schedule it if you need to, but spend time together. Number 2, assume good intent from each other. Number 3, understand each other's love language and try to speak it to each other so that you both feel loved. Number 4, let's get that sexy back and flirt. Number 5, communicate. And that is like the big one. Communicate with each other. And number 6, cherish each other. Which again sounds cheesy, but I promise if you cherish each other, it will really help you prioritize each other. However you want to do this, however you want to work to get things back on track, making your relationship a priority is absolutely going to solidify your family foundation. It's going to make sure that you guys are working as a team to tackle any of the challenges that might come your way. And as a blended family, I know that there can be a lot. So I appreciate you listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, I really hope that you'll share it with all your stepmom friends. And again, go to our show notes to get all of the links that I mentioned in today's episode. You can go to thiscustomlife.com/episode 6. Thanks again for listening, and I wish you and your partner nothing but the best as you work to make your relationship a priority. That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.